Longest minute
of the day. We're consistent. You always wait till 6 o'clock. Nope. Oh, you did? I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order and ask you to stand for the invocation, and I'd like to ask Chief Page to offer our invocation.
Heavenly Father God, Lord, we come to you. God, we just give you praise and glory for all things that are good. God, we ask you to be with our council tonight as they bring business before the city. God, we ask that your will be done in all their decisions. God, just thank you for all you do. In your precious son's name, amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a quick reminder, please silence your phones. You don't have to turn them off. Just silence them for us. And the first item on the agenda is the items of community interest, and we have a lot to bring to you. So the Library Adult Craft Night is on the 19th. Council members, the TML meeting is also on the 19th. Computers Recycle, which I think is, will it be back here, Diana? Yes. We'll be back here in the Emergency Operations Center. It will be on the 21st. The Lunch and Learn for the Chamber will be on the 17th. The hospital will have a public grand opening on Monday, the 23rd at noon. Early voting starts on the 23rd. Don't forget about that. And then, Terry, you have something to announce?
Yes, we will be hosting a golf tournament. It's the Keith Maddox Memorial Golf Tournament that all proceeds go to the youth of Montague County for the county show. We've done it for the past several years. Great success. And we really appreciate if anybody out there would like to enter a team. We're doing a 4-man scramble this year. So lots of prizes, lots of fun.
And the date?
October 21st,
Okay.
Saturday.
Also, Cindy's not here tonight. She's at home sick today, but I do want to thank her for everything that she did this weekend for every event, the Sip and Stroll, the Chicken and Bread, the car show, and the bass tournament on Saturday. They were all a huge success, not to mention the weather was absolutely fabulous. The Sip and Stroll was the largest we've ever had. The car show was a huge turnout. The vendor numbers that we had for Chicken and Bread was the largest number we've ever had. So if you're watching tonight, Cindy, we appreciate everything you do.
Yes, thank you.
So let's move on. Anybody else have any items of interest that they want to announce? If not, then let's move on to the proclamation for Fire Prevention Week. You get to do this alone? Oh, 2 of them are back there. It's been busy. So now, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to do this. And let me put on my glasses. That works. Proclamation, whereas the Bowie Fire Department committed to ensuring the safety and the security of all those living in and visiting the city. Whereas cooking is a leading cause of home fires in the United States, and whereas 2 of every 5 homes fires start in the kitchen, with 31% of these fires resulting from unattended cooking So Bert, you are the next item on the agenda for the city manager report.
Thank you. We had a meeting with our enterprise fleet representative last week, and we're coming up on year 5 when our fleet program was to begin really paying off with higher values on trade-in vehicles. But with the advent of COVID-19, we could not get the vehicles we needed, and now the UAW auto strike is throwing another kink into the mix. Luckily, the vehicles that we are to get this year are mostly scheduled for production, which means we will probably get them in a timely manner. One of the great things that Enterprise offers us is that they let us know when vehicles are not being serviced with oil changes and other service needs in a timely manner. And we can let the department head know that vehicle XYZ needs to have the oil changed or whatever, which means we're now taking better care of our vehicles. The program is allowing us to have safer, more than before. We're going to have a pre-construction meeting with MX Construction and Hayter Engineering tomorrow to discuss the Nelson Street Bridge project. You're having your first vote on the bond sale tonight, but the securing vote will be at the October 23rd council meeting. Atmos Energy has been doing work in the area, moving gas lines before our construction starts. So we should be ready to go after the meeting on the 23rd. We've been answering questions for the Texas Water Development Board about the sewer line project. They wanted to know information on who will be doing the construction inspections so that we could, so we sent them Joe Lyons and Stoney Lawrence's experience in licensing. The Water Development Board is making sure that we are crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's before we begin actual construction. It appears they're dragging their feet, but I think it's because we're too anxious to begin. And luckily, I got an email today from the Water Development Board, and it says this email is to serve as the Texas Water Development Board concurrence of awards for CDID-01 and the recommended lowest responsible bidder, BCAC Underground LLC. And once they ask us to send some documents in, which Hayter Engineering is doing for us. Once these subsequent documents have been reviewed and approved, the Water Development Board will then be able to issue the notice to proceed. Concurrence, and the city will be able to issue their notice to proceed on to the contractor. So that's good news. That's fixing to crank up and start moving. We're beginning a new service for our community called HyperReach. Citizens can sign up for notices from the city about everything that we're doing and warning them about. We had a first test on last Wednesday evening when we had severe thunderstorm warnings from the National Weather Service. It not only warns about weather, but also other things such as when we have a major water leak, street repair, anything that the public needs to know. It also can tell when we're having events in the city and things of that nature, so it's not all dangerous stuff. And it will either call you or text you, whatever you choose. We can even warn of a particular street or area about a problem. In other words, it has a map on it where we can pick a street out or an area and say you've got a problem in this area, or watch out for this bad dog, or whatever it may be. Residents can call or text 940-531-9400 to sign up for this service. So hopefully we'll get a lot of community members involved in that. And just a reminder to the council, please remember that we're hosting the regional TML meeting on Thursday, October 19th at the community center. We will have dinner and a program. All members of the council and city employees are invited to attend. If you're coming, please call Sandy so that we can get a good number. That's it. Any question?
On the vehicles, how many are we behind on the trade out? Is that what you said?
Yeah, we are, because we couldn't get the vehicles we needed last year, and we may not get all the vehicles we need this year.
How many are we missing or behind on?
How many are we?
How many do we not have that we need or we want?
Oh, there's probably 10 or 12 vehicles in the whole fleet of vehicles that we have not turned over yet. 4. Thank you.
So it's 4.
My people are out there telling me, giving me
Good.
notes. So
Any other questions? All right, let's move on to the consent agenda items. The only thing in your packet is the minutes from the September 25th meeting. If you have read them, I would entertain a motion to approve them as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Gunner. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'm going to go with Bates. I heard her first. Shaw?
Yes.
Gunner?
Aye.
Love?
Yes.
Bates?
Aye.
Post?
Aye.
And Sproles is not here. The next item on the agenda is the ordinance amending the adopted municipal budget for 2022-23. You want to go ahead and go to the podium, Pamela? Yes, please. So this is the second reading for the amendments that were presented at the September 25th meeting. An ordinance amending the adopted municipal budget for fiscal year 2022-23 for specified funds, account, and line item designations, declaring all other appropriations of the budget document unchanged, instructing the city manager to make necessary revisions to the city's accounting records, declaring a severability clause, and providing an effective date. That set of budget amendments is in your budget, in your packet.
These are the same ones that we voted on.
Yeah,
last
that's
meeting.
correct. Do you have any other questions on the attachment?
I do.
Okay,
So, the items that were under budgeted, over budgeted, or, just maybe didn't make the budget because it wasn't on our, didn't know that was something we were gonna have to buy. How many of those, or have they been added to the current budget? Have they been adjusted, or do you think those are just kind of one-off situations?
it depends on the item. Some it was added and some were not, just one and go per se. Just depends on, all the way across the board. You'll see on here too, the fuel and additives were increased. Well, this year's budget was increased also.
Right.
Okay, so that'll alleviate some of these budget amendments, but some of these were increase in revenues, which is
Right.
nice to see. And others were restricted funds that you don't budget for until they buy the item.
Right. I think that answers my question.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so again, this is the second reading, so I would entertain a motion to accept the budget amendments.
So moved.
Shaw, do I have a second?
Second.
Gunner? Post?
Aye.
Bates?
Aye.
Gunner?
Aye.
Shaw?
Yes.
Love?
Yes.
Right.
I'm just gonna stay here.
Yep, just stay there.
You like me.
It's questionable.
You want us to you want us to get you a chair?
Nah.
So the next item on the agenda is the hotel motel budget. Well, the hotel motel
Okay.
funds report that was presented at the last meeting was tabled. You have received in your packet the list of expenses. Should have answered all the questions. But if there are any questions, now would be the time to ask.
I got exactly what I needed. I just wanted to kind of list of where we're at, what we've been putting the money towards, and I think it's doing what the fund sets out to do, so.
So then I would entertain a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion.
Bates, do I have a second?
Second.
Post? Shaw?
Yes.
Gunner?
Aye.
Bates?
Aye.
Post?
Aye.
Love? Thank you. All right, so now we're going to go into the second set of ordinance 2023-6, an ordinance amending the adopted municipal budget for fiscal year 2022/23 for specified funds, account and line item designations, declaring all other appropriations of the budget document unchanged, instructing the city manager to make necessary revisions to the city's accounting records, declaring a severability clause, and providing an effective date. Go ahead and take it from there.
Thank you, Mrs. Mayor. Please go down to number 18, where it says Community Development, TX Agriculture Revenue. This started because that's a 033 account number, which was added Because of a grant, I have to show all revenues, and if you go to the bottom on 37, you'll see expenditures, which match 38,200. And then I thought, well, I have to come back to the council for your consideration for those two items on another amendment. Let's just clean up the budget the best of our ability to make sure that no funds go over budget. We did have some late invoices. I'm still receiving invoices that have to go back to September. So I thought I would adjust for all revenues that came in. We discussed the sales tax that I mentioned that we could go up 100,000, that's in here. And I wanted to make sure that a couple of our departments did not go over budget because they were so tight in the first place. So that's what these amendments are for. Hopefully, we will not have any department and or anybody go over budget. If we go over budget on the revenues, that's great. We go over budget on the expenditures, I don't seem to like that so much.
What are most of those, I mean, the over budgets, are they in the departments I know, like the sewer and stuff, that was more cost of chemicals or cost of items? Is that
Cost of
what
chemicals in like all.
majority of this is?
Yes, in like the AASPP expense, that's funded, and you don't know. A lot of times you can order equipment, and it might be July and August, and they'll tell you that's 90, 120 days out, and lo and behold, guess what? It was delivered on the 15th of September. We have the cost of good in-house, we have to book it for this month, for the last year's budget.
Any other questions for Pamela? If not, I will entertain a motion to accept this round of budget amendments.
So moved.
Post, do I have a second?
Second.
Shaw? Gunner?
Aye.
Love? Aye. Bates?
Aye.
Post?
Aye.
Shaw?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, so the next item on the agenda is the, excuse me, Ordinance 2023-7, an ordinance authorizing the ordering, the issuance of City of Bowie, Texas certificates of obligation, Series 2023, prescribing the terms and form thereof, providing for the payment of the principal therein and interest thereon, awarding the sale thereof, and making other provisions regarding such certificates, including the use of the proceeds thereof and matters incident thereto. Kevin Lerner is here. He wants to speak to us tonight about this.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. After all that legalese, we're looking at issuing bonds, obviously, for the repair and rebuild of the Nelson Street Bridge in an amount not to exceed $2,750,000. So this being a federal holiday, we really can't sell bonds or do any much today, and we're really scheduled to have all of our intentions aimed at your October 23rd council meeting, which will be your second reading. At that point, we'll be able to lock in interest rates, everything. That is the vote where everything will transpire on your October 23rd. But I did want to come to this meeting and just, I don't want to use the word brag, but I want to use the word to spread the good news. About 2-3 weeks ago, in an effort putting these bonds together, to get the best interest rates, we wanted to have bonds that were rated and insured. And so we hire S&P to do a thorough investigation and analysis of the City of Bowie. And so we had scheduled about an hour-long conference call, of which Ms. Woods fielded the vast majority of the calls, but city manager, Madam Mayor were also in attendance. So this is a call from an analyst, and she let us know right off the bat that she knew exactly where Bowie was. She was a graduate, grew up in Jacksboro, so she knew exactly what part of Texas and the demographics and everything. But she commenced to asking, I don't know, like I said, about 45 minutes to an hour worth of very thorough technical questions on everything from the economy of Bowie, the finance of Bowie, the assessed values of Bowie, the trends of Bowie. Ms. Woods was very prepared for the call. I really appreciate that. And after what is a very thorough analytical investigation, Bowie was awarded an A+ rating, financial A+ rating. So to put that in perspective, I don't know of a city within 60 miles that has an A rating. Bridgeport just got theirs upgraded to an A-. So I just want the council to have a certain amount of confidence in how the city's run, constituents to take a certain amount of comfort in how well the city's being run. Just a point of pride to get a single A+ rating was the best we could have hoped for, and will ensure that we get the best interest rate that we possibly can. So
Thank you for
you
the
may
good
hear,
news.
yeah, people are always quick to talk about some of the bad news. I want to be here with some good news. So as a financial advisor for the city of Bowie, it's a point of pride for me that the city's run so well. They look at all your existing debt, which Bowie doesn't have very much for a city this size. And all the debt that is outstanding is currently at very low rates. We've got a Texas Water Development Board obligation that hovers in the 2%, maybe I think less than 2. Okay, 2% range. The bonds that are outstanding for the community center are at 1.6%. So we took the opportunity back when interest rates were really low, some years ago, to refinance everything that was outstanding, get the best rates we could. And so now we're kind of enjoying some of those low rates. As rates are climbing, we anticipate the rates for these bonds to be around the 4.5% range. Now, they'll vary because it's a 15-year obligation. And so the short maturities will be a little lower and the longer maturities will be a little more. They're going to average around the 450, 460 range is what we're anticipating. We've also kind of front-loaded some of the 15-year obligations because although the vast majority of the funds are designed for the use for the bridge, there's about $380,000 worth is for an ambulance. And so thinking that we want to get that ambulance paid off, within its useful life, the first 4 years, we've kind of front-loaded the 15-year obligation with higher debt service those first 4 years to get the ambulance taken care of. Whereas the bridge and all the sewer work, 15 years is even considered a fairly short term for those type obligations. So I'd be happy to answer any questions, but we really won't know exactly what the interest rate is until October 23rd. But we have a pretty good idea. And we've done all our homework to get the best rate we possibly can.
Does anybody have any questions?
So this analyst that gave us the rating, was that done through your office?
S&P, we hired them.
Okay, you guys take care of all of our loans?
Their cost is shown in the costs associated with this bond issue.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lerner, I appreciate that.
You bet.
So, as you all know, we require 2 readings. But he just made the statement that we won't have the final numbers until the second reading, but that's the only thing that the state requires us. So by our first reading tonight, we're meeting our obligations per our charter, and then on the 23rd, we'll meet the obligation for the state, and we'll have the final numbers by then.
I will be here for that meeting and be able to tell you exactly, what the interest rate is based on the 23rd.
Okay. So tonight's reading is the obligatory? That doesn't sound right. First reading. So I would, at this time, entertain a
I
motion.
got some questions. So, and this might be a dumb question, I'm not sure. So we get a rate, 4.5 or whatever it is when it comes back, and say we're in a different rate environment in the future, would there be an opportunity, or is that something you do, is to restructure some of this debt, or is that just not a
Yes, sir.
practice?
Yes, sir. These bonds will be callable, I believe, after year 10. So
Okay.
there is a call
To get some
restriction
time,
period.
sure.
But should the rate environment in the future be such that we can refinance these bonds at a lower interest rate at that time, you bet, we'll be all over that. That's part of my job, is to look at every piece of debt you have every year and see if there's an opportunity to refinance it to save money. So these will be no different.
So why are we going, what's the reason for 15 years?
We when we looked at this project, we had the option, we looked at 10 years, we looked at 15, we looked at 20, we even looked beyond. We looked at some of the debt that's falling off the books. Bowie will have a number of obligations that are being 4 years. And we tried to dovetail this debt to replace that debt. So I think we have about $270,000 worth of payments that'll be retiring in the next 3 to 4 years. And so we tried to pick a term that these payments would be close to that amount, so that it wouldn't have a big fluctuation, a much higher cost or much lower. So we kind of reverse engineered it based on some of the debt that's coming off the books.
So the next 4 years is gonna be pretty tough for us.
You'll be fine. I wouldn't recommend that we get, have the higher debt service that we do if it wasn't gonna be available. But the next 4 years, you will have the highest debt service that you've got, yes.
But we have plenty of ability to service that debt, no problem.
Yeah, we looked at spreading the cost, the total 2.7 over the 15 years and just kind of bury the ambulance in it, but we just thought it was prudent because of the useful life of an ambulance to front load the first 4 years of the obligation. That was just a choice that Bert, myself, Ms. Woods thought was a prudent way to take care of the debt.
So, any other questions? This is a great move for the city. So I would entertain a motion to accept the ordinance as presented.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Ms. Bates. Shaw,
Yes.
Bates,
Aye.
Post,
Aye.
Gunner,
Aye.
Love. Okay. This rolls us out.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Kevin, for coming. We look forward to
Appreciate
seeing you next 2 weeks.
About 3-9.
So the next item on the agenda is to approve the Hayter Engineering to advertise for bids for the Texas Community Development Block Grant. That's a mouthful.
Yes.
And so Mike Tibbetts is here to explain to you some new updates.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor, Council. The City of Bowie was fortunate enough to be awarded a grant through the Community Development Block Grant. It requires a 10% match, and it is a $350,000 grant, so your part is $35,000. And it will be to replace leaky, faulty water lines on Wichita Street from Highway 59 going east to Hutchison Street. If we have any money left over, we're going to try to go south on Hutchison. And this is a fairly straightforward project, and I'll be glad to entertain questions if you've got them. And otherwise, we will need to begin advertising the project for bids the next week or two, and hopefully advertise that for about 30 days. Open bids mid-November. That'll give us a little time to check out the low bidders' references, and if we have the money to go a little further, we'll try to get that approved through the funding agency. We're working with Lisette Howard with Public Management Incorporated. They are the grant administrators for this project, and she's been very good to work with. So I'm requesting permission to advertise the project for bids.
What was the total cost of the project? I guess our total cost is,
Your total cost is $35,000.
How many feet is that? How many feet of line is that?
Well, we think it will go about 1,700 feet. Now, the issue that we had is that when we put this project, it was back in 2021, and it was,
For the delay, so I hate to interrupt you, Mike.
Okay.
We got funded in the second phase of the Community Development Block Program.
correct.
If we'd have got funded in the first phase, no problem. Well, and we're lucky to get funded at all because we got funded last time. But at any rate, since it's the second phase, inflation hit us pretty hard. So we're gonna not get as much done as we hope, but our grant company said we want to go ahead and bid it, so the Texas Department of Agriculture will see what's happening with, the prices in this area. I mean, we were talking $17, $18 a foot, now we're talking in the range of $40 a foot, so we won't get as much, but, you know, if we get this done, then we can just start before we finish this time and go on down Hutchinson Street. So,
Yes, we've designed it all the way down to, is it Edna or Edith?
Edith.
Yeah, so we've designed it to go that far, but we'll set up deductive alternates on the bid schedule. We'll get a price for the whole thing, then we'll deduct a block here, block there, until we get into the budget. So, and now Lisette said that everybody there, with the exception of 3 homes, qualifies as a beneficiary. So if we take out a block or two, we'll still have the ratio that we have to have toward the project. There are lots of specific rules, and that's what the grant administrator looks at to make sure that we still qualify.
So basically, it's costing us about $20, $21 a foot to do it, right? Because 35,000 divided by 1,700.
Oh, yeah, well, that's a good way of looking at it.
that's
yeah.
an excellent way to
Because
look
I'm
at it.
telling you, that's the best way, because otherwise, obviously, it would cost us a lot of money. So I'm just wanting to make that point so
Yeah.
people would know that $20 a foot to get something done is huge.
So Mike, what's the
Yeah.
schedule on this? Once it goes out for bids, you find, you know, we approve a contractor, what's the project date?
Well,
I know it's-
my goal is to come to y'all in your December council meeting and ask for permission, ask you for approval to award the project. So it normally takes about 6 weeks to get the contracts executed, and so we will issue a notice to proceed around the middle of January. And that will get us into the schedule that the funding agency requires. Now, y'all normally have, is it just one council meeting per month?
2.
Oh, well, I may can come to an
Oh,
earlier
in
council.
December, we may only have one because of the holidays.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, I was trying.
So how many homes are on this area? Well, I guess it's hard to know, depending on how far we go.
Well, we're trying to go from 59 to Hutchinson Street, so what's that, 15 homes or so?
Tony, how many homes did we survey? We had to survey this time to make sure that we came within the low to moderate income.
I think total was, you go up Hutchinson, there's like 22 maybe, wasn't very many.
We have to, these projects have to be done in low to moderate income areas, so, we have to make sure that we fit within those requirements.
Any more questions? I'll entertain a motion to accept their request.
So moved.
Gunner, do I have a second?
Second.
Post. Shaw?
Yes.
Bates?
Aye.
Post?
Aye.
Love?
Aye.
Gunner?
Aye.
Now, thank
y'all.
you very much, Mike, for coming.
Appreciate it.
Next item on the agenda is public comments. And I know we have a lady that would like to go to the podium.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Sorry, I took your chair.
She's fixed it.
First of all, I would like to thank the city council and the city employees of all the hard work that they do for our community. You can tell by the agenda this evening of hard work and decisions that has to be made. I would like to say thank you very, very much. Now to go on to other maybe fun things, one of the things that has not really been advertised of yet, I believe on October the 28th, the senior citizens will have their all-you-can-eat breakfast, which is scrambled eggs, cream gravy, hot biscuits, sausage, bacon, pancakes, coffee, tea, and orange juice. Ladies and gentlemen, this helps to Meals on Wheels. So we would like to encourage everyone to come out and enjoy a great breakfast. Also, the mayor has already kind of stole some of my ideas that I wanted to bring out today. So This weekend was a very busy weekend, not only for our organizers, but our sponsors, the businesses that sponsored the events of our community. If you was at the fire hall, you saw all of the posters of some of the major sponsors. Without these sponsorships, we may not have been able to do what was done. So, Sip and Stroll, 35 business and street vendors. Hey, Bowie doesn't have a square, it's got a block. And those who walked around both sides of that block and on the side street, I tell you what, this old 85-year-old lady couldn't make it all. But it was a lot of fun, and a lot of people had a lot of fun, and we had a lot of visitors come to Bowie, and I heard comments say, I've never been to a small community that had such events. So, going from Sip and Stroll to the 28th Annual Chicken and Bread Day Festival. Hey, as the mayor already mentioned, how many arts and crafts vendors did we have? There was 56 signed up. 2 didn't show. But hey, there was all kinds of arts and crafts there for everybody to enjoy. Marty Elmore, who was in charge of the fiddle contest, told me that they had major fiddlers from 5 areas around. Championship fiddlers. I always said that we had one of the best fiddle contests in North Central Texas, and they proved it this year. What about the Piston Head Antique Car Club? How many cars were they? 116 registered vehicles was on our streets of Tarrant and Smythe. I was told this was a little bit number from last year, but I always said, if we go any bigger, where are we going to put everybody? So then at the end of the day, I took this old tired body home, got on an ice pack, and finally got a hot shower because this muscle was killing me. One thing I didn't get around to, and that was the Western people who was telling the stories about Texas and the Texas Rangers. They were there. So if you weren't at the Chicken and Bread Day Festival, gee, I'm sorry, you missed it. I finally got up and I went out to Second Sunday around noon, and visited with the vendors that was there and thanking them for being part of Bowie's Second Monday. As y'all may know, we're not the largest trades day, but Bowie happens to be the oldest. So all the people there that said, there was people that was at the Chicken and Bread Day Festival, they came in and they said that they had a wonderful time. So you had a weekend of enjoying Sip and Stroll, fiddle contest, antique cars, arts and crafts, and hey, you could still enjoy Second Monday Trades Day. And then what happened on Sunday? Tournament, of all things. I tell you what, Cindy sent me a picture of one of the bass that was caught, and I said, my gosh, I didn't know there was fish that big in our lake. It was a big one. So people, thank you, and I hope y'all enjoyed Bowie, Texas, because we had a lot of positive comments of our events. And hey, we had some very grateful visitors from all over. I thank you very kindly.
Thank you, Mildred.
Do you know, I made a comment to Cindy. Some of y'all might not know, I'm known as the gray-headed chicken lady. people would want to have their pictures taken with the chicken lady. So I said, I think we ought to come up with an event. For those who have their pictures or taken a picture with the chicken lady, submit it so that we can have a contest and have people's choice. So, hey, that might be a new event in coming years. So, hey, learn how to cluck like a chicken.
Thank you, Mildred. Do we,
It's talking to you, Terry.
do we have any other public comments tonight? If not, then I'm going to adjourn our meeting at, I don't know what time. 6:40.